Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Summer of 26, a Global Soccer Showdown, with two dads on Father's Day, the Qooligan, and Gary Striker myself. Happy Father's Day, Qooligan.
And happy Father's Day back at you. Two dads hanging out with ignoring their children. It's a good day.
Guys, peace and quiet, please. Peace and quiet in the background as well. And then afterwards, of course, there will be some barbecue, a few cold beers, and lots of football and World Cup. So yeah, it's the stars are aligning. It's not a bad day at all.
Not a bad day at all. I agree with that.
All right,
and the footy's been good too. So,
let's start with yesterday. Let's start with the eve of Father's Day, which really, I think, on the surface, I was very excited for all of these performances and these games. So you had your Netherlands kiss on yesterday. How was it? Sort of by the time the fourth goal went in, did you stop jumping up and down off the couch, or was the jumping getting more and more volatile as the goals were going in for the Netherlands?
I'm a restrained gentleman. I applaud. I shouted the first two, and then really, you raised a point yesterday about the hydration break and momentum, and I think that yesterday's Netherlands match was a classic example of that. The Dutch were completely and utterly dominating that game. I mean, to the point where they had 2 goals by 17 minutes. And they were looking like they were going to push the Swedes. They were going to treat the Swedes like lemmings. They were going to drive them over the cliff.
They did.
And then momentum break came in.
Yeah.
And Graham Potter, to his credit, shifted a few things around. And Sweden all of a sudden was in this match. And people were thinking, yeah, okay. There could be something here. And it didn't materialize because after the halftime, the Dutch came out, got their act together, right? Koeman probably read them a little bit of a riot act. They settled in and everything was great. Made some really solid substitutions, as did Potter, by the way. I will give him credit on that too. And in the end, it was a fairly easy and breezy victory for the Dutch over the Swedes, who interestingly became the first World Cup team to ever win a game 5-1 and then subsequently lose a game 5-1. So congrats to Sweden. Yet another thing in their record book that they didn't want. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, listen, I'm a Dutch supporter, so of course I loved it. Gary, what did you think?
I was really, really impressed by the Dutch. I really was, and I've made no secret of it. How much I admire them. I've always admired them from sort of many sort of teams, but just the quality of players that they bring out is really, really sensational. Even from the days of, I think when I first fell in love with Dutch football was that 95 Ajax team, which had, David, Seedorf, Van der Sar, and then it had Kluivert, and just, it was, full of it. And then at the same time, they had Bergkamp and Overmars. Bergkamp, I know, was not at Ajax at that time when they won the Champions League, but Bergkamp, Overmars, that whole sort of generation. And then they just carried on sort of bringing out amazing players, Ian Robin. So I've always been a big fan of Dutch football. And the Dutch team, just seeing the Dutch go through confidently and sort of performing the way they were, because I thought the first game was not the greatest. Their first game wasn't that great. It was really good to see the Dutch show up, and they looked really, really competitive. I
actually think the Dutch did perfectly fine in that first game. I feel like it's a hill I'm dying on every time, but the 2 goals that Japan scored were the result of deflections.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't as if they completely. It was them going up against a very good foe, and we'll find out just how good as we get on to the Japan game, but they were playing a good team that gave them a good competition. And while, it was a little disappointing they conceded 2, ultimately, I think it was a fair result for both sides, just given that was a game that was fought between the boxes.
Yeah.
Right? That was a midfield battle. There was hardly any action inside the box and inside when you study the stats. They both had a low XG, right? They both scored 2 goals against a low XG, which is a sign that the goals were either flukes or they were good quality. And in this case, it was a little bit of both, right? They were both good quality, but also fluky. So, okay.
Yeah.
But this game, this is where I think you saw the Dutch really performing at their best for 3 of the 4 quarters, because that second half, second half of the first half, or the second quarter, they were not that great. They were kind of reeling. They didn't adjust as much. Sweden kind of had them pressed. And, then you could say, oh yeah, but Sweden scored that 1 goal. Yeah, that was a great goal.
Yeah.
It was a perfectly executed goal by the Swedes. But you'll note they could only do that once.
They did it once. Yeah.
It wasn't as if they could do that again and again and again, right? The Dutch let that one go.
Yeah.
That one was like, oh, Van de Ven was he was actually not necessarily out of position, but Elanga completely split
Skinned
the
him.
scene between Van Dijk and whoever was sitting on the other side. I can't even remember.
It was Van Hecke, I think. Yeah. Was it
Van de Hecke? Thank you.
Yeah,
but he ran in between the two of them, and neither one of them are speedsters. They are more positional center defenders. But even then, you saw Van de Ven trying to track him down, and he just couldn't catch him, right? And Elanga, just to his credit, went in, grabbed it, perfect shot.
Yeah.
Good. Well done. By the way, every single person, every single Newcastle fan out there is going, where was this Elanga?
I was about to say exactly the same thing. The thing that got me out of the seat the most was that one piece of skill he did by the touchline. Did you see that, where he sort of looked as though he had nowhere to go and he kind of just sort of like pulled it back beside him? And I was like, whoa, who the hell is this guy?
It was almost as if he did a Cruyff pass and then nutmeg Van de Ven. And even Van de Ven's face was like, what the
I think the whole Dutch team was like, whoa, okay, this guy can play.
I think everybody was floored by that. It was quite the maneuver.
It was really good. No, Elanga really came on. And then, Sweden really threw everything at it. Once they threw, Elanga, and then they kept Goalkeepers, and then they had Isak on the field, and they just threw 3 assets, 3 strikers at it.
They couldn't do anything.
They couldn't do anything.
And they tried, but they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, they couldn't. The Dutch were very well organized. The Dutch were very confident, and you can see why. And again, what's interesting is to just look at their squad.
It's a funny thing. Sweden actually had the better of, if you're looking at the stats, Sweden kind of had the better. They 50% of Sweden's shots were on goal. 50%. 8 out of 16 were on frame, which means that Bart Verbruggen joins the elite ranks of goalkeepers that had an impact. And
it really does feel like it's a World Cup of goalkeepers so far. Yeah,
there have been a handful of them that have been like, whoa. And everybody knows Bart Verbruggen. He is a known quantity. He's a good keeper, right? Plays at the highest level, so that's not much of a shock. But he made 7 saves in that game. Yeah. We look at all of this and go, geez, Sweden got their ass kicked. Actually, they swung. They just couldn't hit it out of the park because Verbruggen was running all over the place, pulling balls in all the time. So kudos to him.
No, well done, Holland, well done, Netherlands, should I say. And then does that mean that they are now sort of just also on a head-to-head basis, they top the group and basically
they're atop the group, but they're not clinched. Because of their draw with Japan, neither team could clinch in yesterday's fixture, right? Yeah. So they're sitting at 4, Japan's sitting at 4, Sweden's sitting at 3, Tunisia don't even get me started. They're cleaning out the they're the gong farmer of the group. And so you have this next tie will decide what's going on. Now, this is we're not going to get into that tie yet, but it's an intriguing group. It's a very intriguing group because you could see a scenario where all 3 of these teams advance. Given the fact that you've got a 3-pointer, 4-pointer, 4-pointer. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It could happen.
Okay. Good, dude. Can we talk about Tunisia for a little bit? Because this is Tunisia's new... So Tunisia...
We can go straight in. We can go straight into the Japan-Tunisia game.
Yeah, I thought that...
Why not?
I this was getting a little bit late for me, so I unfortunately didn't get to watch that. I'm going to go and watch the highlights as well. Japan. I'm guessing this was just a Japanese machine, just basically putting Tunisia to the rack and just pulling them apart and banging in the goals and wearing them down. Is that kind of the summary of the match?
That's exactly right. And I actually started watching this game, and before the game started, I said to my son who was watching with me, I said, I don't think Japan's got in them the ability to do what the Dutch did earlier, right? Just said it's not their style. I was a little wrong. I was a
Yeah.
little wrong.
Yeah.
They might not have been as flashy about it. They might not have been but they beat Tunisia 4-0, which means they are exactly level with the Dutch in terms of goal differential, right? They're
Yeah.
all sitting on the same level.
Yeah, and
So
Tunisia whipping boys of the group and having conceded 9 goals with a goal difference
correct,
of negative
which
8.
ironically means that the Dutch are higher placed because goals scored is one of the tiebreakers, right?
Yes.
So in that sense, the Dutch have scored one more. But wow, I mean, come on, Japan, that was ruthless, right?
Yeah.
And Tunisia fired their manager.
Well,
went out, hired Hervé Renard, right? They call him the Wizard. And he apparently really hates that because he's like, there is no such thing as wizardry in football, right? It's all just hard work. Well, yeah, he proved himself right because not only was he not a wizard, if he was the wizard of shit because he did nothing for that team.
But let's be honest, what the hell was he meant to do in 4 days when he sort of got the job? I mean, Tunisia fired their manager.
He changed the goalkeeper. Ladies and gentlemen, he changed the goalkeeper. Guess what? That guy still conceded 4.
And so the Tunisian board of sort of directors now who run the sort of national football team are going to be having a meeting this morning. So should we fire him as well? Who else can we get in? Do you think they'll be having that conversation? Because that's all they seem to do.
Right. So let's look at the tape, right? The tail of the tape on this one. Tunisia against Sweden lost 5-1. They had 51% possession. They had 2 shots on frame out of 6, right? 10 touches in the opposition box. All right. Not great. XG 0.29. Against Japan, they had 38% possession, 0 shots on frame out of 2, right? 8 touches in the opposition box and an XG of 0.05. Congratulations, Tunisia. You beat South Africa's 0.07 from the opening game, which I didn't think was possible. So there's that. But
did you see the
I don't
interview?
know. I mean, how bad? It doesn't get any worse. You really can't get any worse unless you get 2 red cards and go down to 9 men, which is what South Africa did. But even they outperformed Tunisia in that game. In that regard.
Did you? I don't know if you saw there was an interview afterwards. It's floating around on socials. I think it's on one of our social platforms. The Tunisian captain came out and had an interview afterwards, and basically turned on sort of the sort of the FA, the Football Association, the sort of the governing body of the national team, just saying the accommodation we're in is terrible. The preparation was absolutely terrible. We had sort of really bad sort of pre-warm ups as well in terms of sort of matches that they were playing against non-competitive teams. Didn't give them the chance to sort of just really sort of get it. I mean, they're sort of, their international friendlies were against, like Haiti, and then they had sort of Canada, Austria, Belgium, and they just lost. I mean, it was just,
I mean, I hate to say it, but all 4 of those are World Cup teams. So that's
it's a problem. I think
that's bitching and moaning, right?
But of course, that's bitching and moaning. But I think the problem is you've got the captain of the national team coming out and complaining upstairs and saying upstairs is the problem. They're not giving us the right environments. They keep changing our manager on us. They keep making the wrong appointments, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong. They've had 5 managers in less than
4 years. Is it 2? Is it 2 years? Okay,
no, it's back to 23.
Oh, wow.
Late 20, no, like 24. No, 24. They got rid of their manager in 24.
Yeah.
If you read my article, you would know, Gary. I talked about the Tunisian management scenario and how after they fired him, he, and then of course Renard's going to come in and. Okay, listen, this tournament's a wash. That's fine. Maybe they're serious and they're going to keep Renard. Renard does have a good track record of getting teams into solid, performances.
Yeah,
but you're right. He can't. He's not a miracle worker.
How is he going to turn that around in such a short time?
Yeah. Just can't.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's sort of pretty much sort of wraps up. That's Tunisia's fate done, and obviously they'll be back.
That is group F done.
Yeah. Well, the group of death in Tunisia were the whipping boys, and then they've got, and of course, this problem is they've got to play against.
And they play the Dutch.
They play the Dutch, right? And so I saw a great meme, which is Tunisia got beaten by Sweden 4-1. Okay. And 5-1. Then now, 5-1. And then they're going to go and play against the Netherlands, who beat the team that beat them 5-1 as well. So they're going to be in for an absolute beating. But here's the reality is, I mean, do you think the Netherlands as well? The Netherlands won't take their foot off the gas here as well. They'll keep pushing and try and win
No,
this
they
game
won't.
because
They
Japan
won't.
could beat Sweden and still top the group. So they'll go for
No,
it. Right?
it's not. No, that's right. It could be a long day for Tunisia. The only thing that disturbs me is the Dutch do have a tendency to play down to their opposition, right?
Oh, they
So
play down. Okay, yeah.
When they're playing elite teams, they tend to
They
play at
level
an
up,
elite level. When they're playing less than elite, they mentally check out. They're not as sharp as they normally are. This will be an interesting test. Watching them play Tunisia will give you a very good inkling into their psychology and their approach into all the rest. Koeman knows he can't go, hey guys, great job, we'll pull out. He will be managing yellow cards.
Yeah.
Right. He'll be looking at players with yellow cards and saying, right, you don't get a start because I don't want to lose you for the next match. You don't get, but he has enough depth and there will be enough drive for them to say, yeah, go in there and get 5.
Yeah.
Right. Like
anything
less than 5 will be unacceptable, right? To either him personally and to the larger Dutch, supporting group out there.
Yeah.
Although the Dutch will dance to pretty much anything as long as they're winning. So
that's true. Speaking of Dutch dancing, by the way, I discovered that Dutch chant. What is it? Linksrat by some Dutch sort of Linksrex, right? Left, right, left, right. And I know there's all these videos of all the Dutch fans going up and the bouncing, and then they go left and they go right. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, of course,
fantastic.
Man. How can you? I mean,
it's fantastic. Yeah,
it's the thing.
It's very good. Yeah, it's really.
They have their own bus. They have their own everything, right?
And especially, that sort of Dutch DJ as well. It's beautiful. That Euro house. It's fantastic. Okay, and then there was Group E, and I mean, I think, well, I was going to say a couple of shock results. Definitely, Ecuador drawing against Curaçao was Curaçao.
Oh, it's
fantastic.
Very wow.
Fantastic. Hey, look at that. Got their first World Cup point. This is really interesting. And they're both sitting, they and Ecuador are both sitting on 1 point, and then Curaçao now have to go against Germany. Côte d'Ivoire, and I don't have much hope, but I mean, they could be down. But Ecuador are in trouble. Hey, they really didn't deliver. Hey, they did not put the ball in the back of the net for that one. Hey.
Yes, but there's a reason for that, and his name is Eloy Room. Right. And even though every single broadcaster seems to call him Room, I hate to tell you, people, a double O in Dutch is an O sound, not an oo sound. It's Rome.
Ooh, Room.
It's not Room.
Rom.
Right. So, I mean, so a pronunciation aside, it's another example. Goalkeepers. Some goalkeepers have had oversized impacts on games, and this is a classic example of that.
Yeah.
He made 15 saves in this game.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. And let's put that in perspective. The World Cup record is 16, which was done by Tim Howard back in July 1st, 2014. In a knockout match, round of 16 match against Belgium, and he made 16 saves. They made memes out of him, right? There was a meme of him, things Tim Howard could save, right? You if you were there, you remember it. Eloy Room actually did it better because Tim Howard did his in 120 minutes because it was extra time. He did 15 saves in 90 minutes, which makes him the undisputed record of regulation time saves. And people, I don't think the internet is buzzing for him as much as they're buzzing about Vozinha, who only made 7 in that amazing game. They should be talking about Rome. His story's not quite as compelling as Vozinha. Let's be honest. Right. Vozinha, comes out of nowhere, doesn't turn professional to 25. Plus he's got that face. I mean, come on. That face, it looked, I mean, it's like it's carved out of salt water and sea spray. And you're just like, ooh, golly, look at you. Rome's a bit more of a pretty boy in that sense. But he also plays in the second division. He is the starting goalkeeper for Miami FC in the USL Championship.
Yeah,
right. So he plays down in the second division. He spent 4 seasons at Columbus Crew, and the rest of the time he was sort of a journeyman bench goalkeeper in the Dutch leagues, playing for PSV, Vitesse, and some other Dutch clubs. And I think NEC Nijmegen. What an incredible story.
Yeah, amazing.
And for them to get that point, I think speaks to the general level of football improvement, soccer improvement amongst these small countries is incredible. Yeah, they lost 7-1 to Germany, but Ecuador is no slouch. Ecuador had 45 touches in the box. They had 27 shots. They put 15 on frame. That's an I mean, you'd think
one of those goes in.
One of those goes through. We're having a very different conversation here, right?
Yeah.
And let's also note that Curaçao, in a 15-second span, had 3 shots on frame that the Ecuador goalkeeper did an amazing job keeping out. They put in 3, bam, 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 back-to-back shots on that. And then another shot that didn't get counted as on frame because it deflected off of an Ecuadorian player, and their goalkeeper had to put this like desperate arm out and stopped it. If that goes in, Ecuador loses, and all of a sudden you're having a national scandal in that country, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And Curaçao is still partying.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. They're probably still partying, but a little bit more subtly and Yeah. But
indeed.
What a great game. What a great game. And very disappointing for Ecuador. I believe we may get a story from an Ecuador fan coming in, ranting and raving about Ecuador's particular performance in this World Cup. I'm hoping that he comes through with that because I think he's super exciting.
It would be exciting because he was at that game, wasn't he? He flew all the way out to Kansas.
He was. And I mean, the amount of teams that have had 70+% possession and lost or drawn is becoming a real storyline as well.
It's really happening. Well, all of the minnows, the proverbial sort of unknown countries or unknown entities, have all delivered, all performed. In some cases, overperformed.
They've all overperformed, in my opinion.
Yeah, they really have.
Either by just putting up resilient battles or gaining points. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
All we need now is a New Zealand win today, and our entire storyline is complete.
It's complete, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's move over to Germany against Côte d'Ivoire. This was fantastic to see see Côte d'Ivoire go up, and all of a sudden, the Germans they haven't got out of second yet. I know against Curaçao they had an easy one as well, but they struggled. I know that obviously they had to make some changes, and Denis Undav came on obviously for Jamal Musiala and scored 2 goals in that sort of last minute winner in the sort of dying moments to sort of clinch it. But they did not look convincing, and Côte d'Ivoire looked as though they could, if they went again, they could go again. The thing I will say is, I know there's a lot of noise around this. Their right winger, I think Yandi Amande, and I know there's speculation that Liverpool are going to be dropping a sort of 100 million sort of offer for him as well. I will say this: he's not all that. He's quick. He can step over. He's not the finished product. There's a long way to go for him. So just be careful. Any team that is looking at spending, 100 million plus on him, because he is still not the finished product, and there's a long way for him to go. Luckily, he's young and he's probably will develop and grow, but he didn't. He looks exciting, but he doesnn't deliver, unfortunately, for me so far, what I've seen of him. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh.
You are such a strange hater, Gary. I mean, firstly, I disagree. I
maybe my expectations were too high and he didn't hit them. That could be one. Sorry to interrupt.
And I think that's and by the way, I do agree with you. I think people should look at Jan Diomande with some skepticism, but not because he's not all that. It's just because of his youth. He is very young, and so of course he's an unfinished product. And people shouldn't be paying $100 million for a 19-year-old. It's just something that shouldn't be happening, right? It speaks to the bizarre wage inflation that's been going on across the board. Now, that aside, I disagree with you about Germany on this one. Listen, they didn't have a great run But I would argue that it was Côte d'Ivoire that actually was overplaying in this game and really keeping Germany out. Germany had 7 shots on frame. It's a good number, right? They weren't necessarily pinned in the back. Every time Ivory Coast, had a shot, Neuer was there. He did his job. This game came down to coaching, and there were 2 coaching decisions that flipped this game on its tail. And that is when Denis Undav came on as part of that substitution group from Nagelsmann. And then conversely, Ivory Coast, when they went in and made their substitution group, those 2 changes sealed the game. For Germany, Undav won it because that guy is a natural born scorer, right?
Yeah.
He absolutely, you took off Musiala, you took off Sane, right? You put in Denis Undav and you put in Nadia Amiri. Amiri gets an assist, Undav gets 2 goals. There it is. There's your score. Côte d'Ivoire, what do? They put on Fofana, Evan Gesson, who is now playing for Aston Villa because he's not a Crystal Palace guy anymore. So we can now treat him with disdain. And Simon Adringa. And you put those 3 guys on. Adringa had an open goal. He was sitting there on the left side. He got a through ball. He had an absolute opportunity and he froze. He absolutely choked, tried to take a touch. That's a first. You got to hit that sucker.
Yeah, you got to hit that first time.
It was terrible. It was, every single person around the globe went, what the fuck are you doing, young man?
Yeah.
And that was the game, because if he hits that thing, if it goes in, that game is over. Germany's not coming back from that.
They're not coming back from that.
They had the dagger. He didn't take this. He didn't take the, he couldn't make the cut. That was it.
Did not thrust it appropriately into the that's coaching, mentality, mindset, pressure, moments, all of those things.
And as the commentator said, you never rule out Germany.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. Especially in the dying minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They will find a way. And did you see, that goal that he scored, it wasn't as if that was, that was like some of the Dutch goals that are like where you go down the line, you put it across the face of the goal and it goes in. It wasn't necessarily easy. That was a laser pass threaded between 5 players right at his foot with the perfect touch, spin, and shot.
Yeah.
The
great finish.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely.
Indeed.
And I think Denis Undav now has 4 goals. I think that's his 4th. He might be leading the Golden Boot. If it's not 4, he's got 3. I know
he's got 3. Yeah. Okay. So he and Messi are sort of top of the group. Yeah. There's been a lot. Even the Bobbery with two goals as well. There's been lots of goals for the strikers as well. So in terms of the race for the Golden Boot, Bobbery. Sorry.
Oh, you know what? Denis Undav leads on contributions because he has 3 goals and 2 assists.
Wow.
This is a guy who outside of Germany. Did you ever hear anybody talking about Denis Undav?
Never heard of him. Yeah, never heard of him.
Does he
play for, is it Stuttgart he plays for? Is that right? Or who does he play for?
Let me tell you. I've got this right here. He plays for Stuttgart. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He's only got a 20 pre-World Cup. He had a $20 million valuation.
Well, he's probably,
Let's see how high that goes. But he is 29. That's the thing. He's 29. So he's no longer in his youthful prime.
That's for sure.
But I could see him,
there's
maybe making a move or just sitting tight.
Lots of scouts everywhere sort of, watching this World Cup looking for undiscovered talent. Okay, so that is Germany topping the group with 6 points quite comfortably. They're going to then go up against Ecuador
advanced.
as well.
They've already clinched. Yeah, so they're the 3rd team to have clinched their way in.
Yeah. So they're in and they're pretty much guaranteed first spot as well because they've got that +7 goal difference as well. So Côte d'Ivoire, and depends how many they can bang against Curaçao. But Ecuador are in trouble. Hey, there's a world in which Germany beats Ecuador and all of a sudden maybe Ecuador don't go through. Hey, there's a risk here. There's a risk.
Germany, much like the Netherlands, is not going to take their foot off the gas either.
Yeah.
That's not Nagelsmann's style. That's not German style. They're gonna unleash just as much as they did against everybody else. And Ecuador's defense will be severely tested. Tested.
This will be similar to sort of, the sort of the US as well as, don't play the yellow cards. Anyone's sort of only feeling any tightness or anything, you won't play and just get the kids run out for it and go for it. So Germany are
and it's not as if Germany's substitutes have underperformed. No, in fact, their substitutes have been winning them the game. So you're not losing any fidelity. You're not losing any fidelity at all. Undav, by the way, just so you know, he's done those 5 contributions having played 56 minutes.
That's efficient. German efficiency for you right there, isn't it?
5 contributions in 56 minutes.
Amazing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Completely insane.
Amazing. Okay, let's move on to today's games. So we have first game, which is about to kick off in a few minutes.
12
Saudi,
minutes.
Spain.
Quick, let's wrap up this pod.
We've got to get going and put it on. Spain against Saudi. Now, Spain are in trouble already. I wouldn't say in trouble, but they got, that result against Cape Verde was just phenomenal. Again, the Saudis will take. And again, Saudis, to be honest, sort of getting a draw against Uruguay was also a good result for them. So they will come into this saying, hey, Spain needs to step it up. Now, we could have, again, I don't want to sort of get too speculative on the sort of the negative side of things, but if Spain draw here, which is not impossible, we could have our first serious victim here, or our first scalp as well. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest, but Spain need to really need to show up and put in a convincing performance.
They have to show themselves and their nation that they still have the desire to win this thing. This is really nothing more than anybody can have a fluke game. And the good news is they had theirs first, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Now you got to come back and poor Saudi Arabia, you gotta ground the Falcon, right? You just gotta grab the green Falcons by the talons, pull them down to the ground and just beat up on them.
Beat it.
You have no choice. And Saudi Arabia, listen, when you watch them, they're not terrible. They move the ball really well. They don't have a real natural striker, but they move the ball well. They're disciplined. They're organized. They're not going to be pushovers. Spain is a superior team. They should win. I do see a universe where Saudi Arabia could pull out another draw.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
it could happen.
Yeah,
but I don't think it will.
But saying that as well, Spain also could just wake up and say, "Guys, all right, enough. Let's go."
That's the other problem, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
And Spain considered one of the favorites for here, but again, Spain. This is.
Listen, here's the thing: in a universe where their top 3s get out, a lot of it's going to depend on what happens in the other batch, right? Because I don't see a universe in which Spain doesn't get out. However, they draw all 3 games.
Yeah,
it could get a little touchy for them, right?
They'll get through, but it just impacts who they play on the bracketology as well. And but again, if you're Spain and you're going into the confident, as I say, they are one of the favorites here, so it should be sort of should be concerned. And just to confirm the lineups as well, Lamine Yamal starts, Rodri, Almo. I mean, they've gone full strength here.
They've gone full strength.
They've gone full strength. Yeah, guys, throw everything at.
No. Luis De La Fuente knows. He's like, I can't.
You got to do this,
I can't hedge. Everybody, if you're breathing, you're playing. Yeah, it's the way it is.
Yeah. And then of course the other game as well that I think everyone's going to be interested in is this Uruguay Cabo Verde. Yeah, this Uruguay Cabo Verde. I mean, so the goalkeeper has got his mother in the stands.
Vozinha's mother is there.
Vozinha's mother is there.
Apparently, we don't know if it's happened, but it's rumored to be.
Yeah, I saw there was I think there was even a post from sort of one of the sort of senior politicians in the administration saying, we've
what's curious, as well. What's very curious is that it seems to be one of the very few bipartisan things that has happened. Because so it was Hakeem Jeffries who made the proposal, asked the State Department for an exception, and then Marco Rubio apparently approved
greenlit it.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, that's the right thing to do because all of those restrictions were petty, vindictive, and somewhat pointless. I mean, you really think Vozinha's mother's trying to emigrate to the United States? Please. I know there's a big Capo Verdean diaspora, mainly in the Boston region, but hell no, that ain't happening.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, also she's going to be the pride of her boy's the pride of the country at the moment.
Are you kidding me?
That
woman is going to be carried into the stadium on the shoulders of fans. She is going to be treated like an empress, and rightly so. I mean, good for her.
That's wonderful.
And then you've got Uruguay. Whoa, my goodness. We're going to have to wait and see what happens.
This is the, I'm concerned
They're
for
in trouble.
Uruguay. I am concerned. They didn't look convincing. They did not look convincing at all. Darwin Núñez is not the real deal. He spent too much, took the money and went to Al Hilal and his level has dropped off. The only decent player that they really have is Valverde, that Real Madrid sort of player. Ugarte is not too bad as well, but I'm suddenly, I think we've all become Cape Verde fans all of a sudden, and we've been enamored of Cape Verde and
everybody wants them to win.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll take a tie. I would just take a tight scoreline for them.
Yeah.
I think it's
just don't get spanked. Don't get spanked. Yeah, that would be the key thing.
And for Vozinha personally, just don't make a mistake. Right, keep the aura. Right.
Yeah. Oof, gosh,
as quickly as he went from 45,000 to 15 million Instagram,
is it up to
a really bad game
now?
that could drop back down. It could drop back down to 1 million or 2.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's life changing for this guy all of a sudden. Like it's just the sort of opportunity that will come for him as well. As I said, I think I didn't see in Cape Verde they put like a massive mural as well by the beach for him or something like that. It was wonderful. This is beautiful.
Why not?
Beautiful stories.
Celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins, or even your draws.
Indeed.
Case, right?
Indeed. Okay, and then moving over to Group G, we've got obviously New Zealand, Egypt, the late game or the later game for Group G as well.
He's sitting square, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's square on 1 point. So you've got a wide open group here. New Zealand and Iran have the edge because they have 2 goals as opposed to Belgium and Egypt's 1. But now you got Belgium playing Iran in LA. This is not going to be an easy game for Belgium, right? The Iranians have shown they're not to be underestimated. And you may sit there and dismiss, but it was just New Zealand. No, that's not it. The nice thing is you've got 2 really old teams playing each other. So if you're a geriatric out there, this is
inspiration.
Your I understand that the AARP is sponsoring most of the hydration break commercials, right? So
the stair lifts as well. Yeah, would you like to unlock a second mortgage on your house?
Plus those little things. I've fallen and I can't get up. The water,
the stair lifts as well, and all those things. Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No, this is.
But I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Belgium should win. It should be theirs, and I think they will.
Hey? No.
But neither side, nobody really in this group is really emerging out as a real winner. But then you look at New Zealand and Egypt, and I think this is going to be a tough one for New Zealand. I think Egypt, they did look good against Belgium. They only conceded because of because of Lukaku, really, who just sort of stormed on there and bullied his way into a position, which caused an own goal. I don't think Egypt's going to be. They're not going to be polite to New Zealand, right?
And New Zealand shouldn't be polite to Egypt as well. They should also just get in their faces.
New Zealand, as polite as they are as a society and a culture on the pitch, are not like that. So, it's funny. I look at both of these games and I go, I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to turn out.
Yeah.
There's so much that could happen because you're talking about 4 completely different teams and approaches, mentalities, skill levels. In a way, it's kind of what makes it awesome because it's just a gigantic question mark. So stay tuned because these could be amazing games.
Yeah.
Or they could just kind of be meh games. And I'm hoping for the amazing. I want to
and amazing is sort of like a stonewall sort of defense and sort of really sort of like trying to break through and just can't break through. That would be an amazing game, right? I think, and then hopefully some shock results will
could also be a meh game depending on how it's done. But
it could be. Yeah, indeed. Okay, Qooligan. Well, I think that brings us up on time, just in time to go and watch the Spain game. Another day,
3 minutes to kick off. Let's do it.
Because we've done that. Well done. Enjoy Father's Day and enjoy all the football. And we'll be back tomorrow.
Happy day to all the dads out there.
Peace.